I love showcase PCs, but man, can these bad boys get expensive quick. But do they have to? Does having features like unified fans, big screens, and limited cables to manage on AIOs always equal big dollars? And if so, who has the money for that? Well, thanks to Cougar for sponsoring this video, we're gonna tell you just about everything you need to know about this AIO and figure out if it can elevate a mystery PC. And all of that happens right here, right now on Robeytech. It would be a bit of an understatement to say that Cougar has been around for a long time. If you've been in the PC gaming or PC DIY spaces, you probably know their name, but if not, I know you've seen their handiwork if you've been around our channel. Today's story isn't about anything we've seen in the past, it's actually about this guy, the Poseidon Vistek Pro. But we want to take this overview in a bit of a different direction than just telling you details about the AIO. The more we talked about this AIO as a team, the more it made us ask, could the Poseidon Vistek Pro transform a budget-conscious PC from bare bones to beauty with a single part swap? In other words, is it possible to get Lamborghini looks on like a Honda Civic budget? And in case you're wondering, why don't we just call this AIO the Poseidon and be done with it? There's actually a very good reason. Cougar has 5 AIOs that all carry the Poseidon name, so differentiation matters here. While they all fit in different categories, what carries across each model, other than the Poseidon series name, is that they're available in black or white, and they're either 240 or 360mm radiator configurations. As for this one right here, this is the Poseidon Vistek Pro, and this is Cougar's AIO with flagship-worthy features, like for instance a nearly 4-inch display and a single fan frame array. And here's the kicker. At launch, the Poseidon Vistek Pro's MSRP ran from $129 for the 240mm version to $149 for this 360mm one. This price puts it in a bit of a middle ground market. It's not priced like a budget AIO, but it's also not priced like other premium ones, so it's a little bit of a Goldilocks there. However, if you're looking to go from budget to showcase bling with something that stands out, the Poseidon Vistek Pro has one massive focal point at $150, and that's the 3.95-inch display, and it's impressive when you look at the landscape. Where most of the competition taps out at resolutions of 480p, this LCD on the Poseidon, it has a resolution of 720p with a 60 Hz refresh rate. Now the brightness, sure, it does max out at 300 nits, which isn't the brightest AIO display we've seen, but it's still plenty visible whether you're building a stealthy rig or complementing the Poseidon Vistek Pro's ARGB fans with more ARGB. All of the customization for the LCD is handled through Cougar's LCD editor software. I did mention the unified fan frame as a standout feature. Some people, sure, they love them, and some people hate them, but personally, it cuts down on the number of cables that you need managing. It's pre-installed and it just looks super clean, which is probably what you're after if you're looking for ways to bump up the aesthetic in your build. So we're starting to check some boxes here. It has some standout features and it's priced conservatively for a showcase style AIO, but none of that matters if this can't keep your CPU golden. And by golden, I mean cool. Now, since this is a sponsored overview, we aren't going to do any comparisons, but we do need to answer the question of whether or not this AIO can do its job. So we're going to look at the data for a couple of CPUs that both represent the every gamer. The Intel Core i7-14700K and the AMD Ryzen 7 7700X. What this will allow us to do is kind of show a range that covers the type of CPUs that maybe you would see in a budget-conscious build, as well as kind of show how it handles more power-efficient current-gen chips. In our test PCs, using our most punishing CPU thermal test, the Poseidon Vistek Pro ARGB kept our 14700K at an average of 83 degrees Celsius. Over on the AMD side, our 7700X averaged around 88 degrees Celsius. Now, both of these temps sound warm, and they are, but remember the Ryzen chips are meant to push to TJ Max, or 95 degrees Celsius, while our Intel chips TJ Max is 100 degrees Celsius, so it's technically doing what it's supposed to do with a reasonable amount of headroom. But what about gaming, Robey? I mean, if we're looking at this AIO as a budget rig gaming enhancer, it has to hold up during intense gaming sessions. Well, on our Intel test system, we saw an average of 54 degrees Celsius while gaming, and on our AMD rig, the average was around 65. So overall, the Poseidon Vistek Pro kept our test CPUs well below their thermal max, which tells us that there's room on either side for more efficient or more power-hungry CPUs. I just don't think serious overclocking should be a consideration here. But let's be really honest here, the Venn diagram that overlaps between high performance and showcase coolers is a bit small, and this one leans more towards the showcase end. And speaking of showcase, let's bring this back to our criteria and our original question. So far, the Poseidon Vistek Pro looks like it's priced competitively. It has features that stand out within its price bracket if you're willing to spend $150 on an AIO, and it shows that it's capable of cooling a pretty broad range of CPUs. We're ticking the boxes, but we still need to answer the question whether or not this AIO can make a budget build look like $1 million. Fortunately, we have one of those right here. It's the mystery PC we tossed out at the beginning. We just finished building this thing with an aim of being a super lean build for $1,500, which is packing an RTX 5070 Ti. And yes, you did hear that right, $1,500 for a 5070 Ti build. Actually, it's more like $1,513 without the AIO, so let's call it around $1,662 when we add this AIO in, which isn't a big jump. Now all we need to do is put this in this and see if it looks like $1 million. And overall, the installation process is pretty straightforward. If you've ever installed an AIO before, this will look super familiar with the, whole back bracket plus standoffs for Intel, or replacing the stock motherboard clips to tie directly into the back plate on AMD. Cougar also includes these silicon insulation pads that go around the standoff studs. These are amazing for Intel installations because they help hold the back bracket into place, which can be a big annoyance when trying to install an AIO. There are actually just a lot of little things that add up here in positive ways. Cougar ships all the hardware in clearly marked packaging, which makes it easy for beginners. The brackets are super easy to swap if you ever need to, and there's even a tube of thermal paste in case you ran out or in case you just didn't know you needed some. Just a couple of things to point out as we're looking this over. First off, the cold plate is a pretty good size. Cougar says it's around 21% bigger than the AIO's predecessor, which is great news if you're using a longer Intel CPU. It's also cool news for AMD too. More coverage is better than less. It's also worth noting something out on the radiator. Rather than running in squiggly lines, Cougar uses a right angle thin design they're calling the utter right system. According to Cougar, this system is designed to expand the surface area air travels across to help make sure cooling is efficient. Okay, so we've got it installed now, we got some color. Let's take a look at the software here. So this is the Cougar LCD editor, and just looking, first thing we can see, you can see that you can get like a nice little overview. Now this has nothing to do with the screen. You can also take a look at your components and all that sort of stuff. You can see we have, this is the same system that I installed and did, the 5070 Ti. And then you have your editor, which this is like selecting so you can actually make your own, but we're not gonna deal with that. We're just gonna look at the actual like pre-configured stuff. Now, when I started, like my screen was actually, I'm just gonna hit reset here, and then you'll see it actually reset. You'll see how it kind of started here in a minute, is it was upside down. So when you get to your screen, once it reconnects here in just a second, you can actually see that we can switch our orientation. So we're gonna switch our orientation to 180 degrees, and then boom, okay, we're there. And then down here, they've got a couple preset options here. You got a corgi. It looks like the dragon from like, I don't know, it's not How to Train Your Dragon. They know that people like corgis and all that sort of stuff, but given we got kind of blue here, let's just select this one. And then it looks like you can actually edit them and all that sort of stuff as well. And then boom, there we go. Yeah, so I mean, like playing with this, especially with the ability to edit and stuff like that. Let's say, for instance, you wanted to do like a Deadpool themed build or any themed build in general. I think the thing that this really allows you to do is to change all of this stuff, especially with the size and resolution of the screen. There's a lot of opportunity to configure and edit that using this software. But for now, we're kind of basic and we found something blue. So I feel like this is gonna work, and let's do our big reveal. And now for the big reveal. Bam! All right, so how does it look? And you know what? I'm not mad at it. I think it looks pretty dang good. All right, let's bring this all home. From what we're seeing, the Poseidon Vistek Pro ARGB's massive, high-res LCD screen and unified fans make it a standout in its price range. The price itself feels right for what you're getting, and it definitely gives this budget build more of a standout vibe. While we wouldn't call this a performance AIO, and it doesn't look like Cougar calls it that either, its cooling is adequate for just about anything you'd want to use it on. And with straightforward installation and its limited cable runs, both of these help with cable management and delivering a super clean aesthetic. Guys, I don't know if this is quite like a Honda turning into a Lambo, but it's definitely a lot more eye-catching. So, well done, Cougar. As we wrap up, we want to say a huge thank you to Cougar for sponsoring this video and providing us with the Poseidon Vistek Pro ARGB to share with you today. If this AIO sounds like something you might want in your next PC build or to upgrade your existing rig, you can check it out over at cougargaming.com today. But as always, we want to know what you think. What do you think of the design? What do you think of that nearly 4-inch LCD screen? And what kind of rig would you transform with one of these? And maybe what kind of themed rig would you love to see something like this? Let us know all that down in the comments below. Now, while you're down there, make sure you slap that subscribe button, whip that like button, and ring that notification bell so that you get a notification each and every time we post a video like this right here on Robeytech. And if you want to continue the conversation, talk about the questions we ask in these videos, or ask questions of your own, head over to our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech. It's an amazing place to talk to other tech and PC enthusiasts about stuff just like this. And hey, you know what? You might just make a friend. As always, make sure you follow us at Robeytech on all your favorite social media platforms. And if you made it this far, I want to say a big thank you to you for sticking with me throughout this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.